For all the men out there that's watching, this episode is specifically made for you. What if I told you there's an epidemic that impacts nearly half the male population that no one talks about? One so ingrained, so rampant in our society that we don't even recognize it when we experience it, and we don't even know how to deal with it. It's often hidden in plain sight in the form of memes, jokes, cultural expectations. The epidemic I'm talking about is misandry, and it's shaping our culture more than you realize. If you're a man and you're watching this, chances are you or somebody that you know has already experienced misandry firsthand. Whether it's in the form of a throwaway comment such as, "Men are trash," "All men are the same," "Men only have egos," or something more brazen as, "I hate men." Whatever comment you experience, this all falls under the category of misandry. And it has real life consequences, and the data actually supports this. For example, there's been surveys done in the US. Half of men say that they've experienced comments such as "men are trash" or "all men are the same." In Canada, over 60% of men report that they've been stereotyped and been characterized and portrayed as being useless or emotionally unavailable. And so when we look at even the UK, 80% of men have been told to man up. So when we look at these data sets as a whole, it's not just a joke anymore, it's not in isolation. It's actually a cultural pattern that we can recognize. So what does this actually mean in the wider scheme of things? Well, first and foremost, we can actually have some, I wouldn't say it's a full correlation, but there is some statistics and suggestions that it impacts our mental health. So when we look at mental health as a overall product, over 75% of suicides are committed by men. This is in countries such as Australia, the US, UK. So why is it that we don't talk about it enough? So when people say misandry isn't real or that it's just a joke, the data actually tells a different story, right? These aren't just stereotypes, and they have actual outcomes that impact people all over the world. So I want to sort of delve into the conversation of what causes misandry, where does it come from, and how has it become so normalized that we barely even notice it? Well, first of the reasons that I think is social media. So when you see platforms like Twitter, or now known as X, Instagram and TikTok, you will see that there are trends that are bashing and hating on men. Even if you just quickly search #men are trash, you will see countless videos that are made bashing on men. So when you see this same message over and over again, it stops being satire. It becomes the cultural truth. Another component is online dating. On dating apps, men are judged more harshly. Studies show that men are 3 times more likely to be rejected compared to women. Factors such as height, income, job status, these become filters, so it effectively reduces men to just checkboxes. And when men express frustration, it's dismissed as entitlement rather than a reflection of systematic bias. Another core component that causes misandry, in my opinion, is film and TV. Pop culture reinforces misandry. Think of it as the bumbling dad trope, the father who can't cook, can't clean, and is basically another child for the mother to manage. Or the constant depiction of men being predators, cheaters, or clueless idiots. These aren't just jokes, these shape how societies see men. So when misandry is disguised as humor, it becomes socially acceptable. And when it's repeated in memes, dating apps, and TV shows, it becomes normalized. And once something becomes normalized, it's invisible. And that's how an epidemic hides in plain sight. So what happens if this continues? What does society look like if misandry keeps being normalized, if masculinity keeps being dismissed, if men keep being told they're disposable? You can already see there's a decline in testosterone since the 1980s. Average testosterone has been declining or dropping by 1% since 1980s. So if you put it into some sort of context, young men today have 20 to 30% less testosterone than their fathers did at the same age. This affects fertility, energy, strength, and mental health. You're also seeing a collapse of dating and relationships. For example, in the US, nearly 1 in 3 men report that they have had no sexual activity in the past year, the highest level it's ever been recorded. In Japan, millions of men have already opted out from relationships entirely. So when men are told constantly they're unwanted or they're trash, men will simply disengage. And when men disengage, societies lose families, children, and stable communities. If we look at education and skills decline, across OECD countries, boys are 50% more likely than girls to fail basic literacy tests. In the US, men now make up only 40% of college students. I'm not saying that misandry is a direct correlation of these, but these certainly play a part into it. At the same time, fewer men are entering, skilled workforces, or skilled trades, I should say. Industries like construction and engineering are struggling to find any workers. If this continues, it's not just a crisis for men, it's a crisis for society's ability to function. Masculinity itself is being eroded, not the toxic caricature, but the healthy kind, the type that you want to build, to provide, to innovate, to protect. So when boys grow up hearing that being male is something to be ashamed of, they stop aspiring to be strong, capable men. And if that continues, we risk raising generations being disconnected from the very traits that built our societies in the first place. If misandry keeps being normalized, the cost won't just be paid by men, it will be paid by literally everyone. Declining health, collapsing families, shrinking workforces, and simply a society that has forgotten the value of being a man. In my opinion, that's not progress, it's extinction. So what should we do in this case? What should we try and do to sort of erode and fix this or correct this issue? Well, we need to start asking harder questions. Why is it acceptable to say men are trash, but unthinkable to say the reverse? Why do we ignore the statistics that show men are struggling? And why do we laugh at the very idea of the concept of misandry, and when its consequences are written in the data? This isn't about men versus women, I'm not saying that. It's about recognizing that dismissing half the human population comes at a cost that we can't afford. Misandry is real, it's normalized, and unless we confront it, the future we're heading toward is one where masculinity doesn't exist, and that society will be weaker for it.